Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2023 WIIL Border Championship presented by DG Itch and Discontinuum Disc Golf Club. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. I've got Tournament Director Ryan Pilcher with me. You're looking at round one scores. Ryan, we're heading into round two. Changing things up a little. You expect to see the same scores or better, or what are we thinking?
Anything can happen on this course, especially with the hazard rules we're playing on the open fairways here in the front, like 1 through 5 holes. So that can definitely change scores up a lot.
So if you go into the long grass or the designated hazard area, you play from there with penalty. Is that what's happening?
Yep.
And our round one leader, Nick Robinson, shot an 8 under. A little deep off the first hole, but that'll work. David Zimmerman coming out of Wisconsin, Janesville.
Thank you.
How did things look in round one? We're seeing the scores are obviously tight, 8-7, 6-6 here on the lead card, but was the course the exact same, or what were they doing, or where were they?
They were playing a course designed by Terry Miller, Silver Fox.
Oh, I forgot about that, honestly.
So the backstory of the event, oh, that was looking good for a second. The backstory of the event is the two hardest courses in our area. One is in Illinois, Fairfield Park, and the other one is in Salem Lakes, Wisconsin. So the WIIL border is WIIL for Wisconsin-Illinois border.
See, no one said I was bright. I didn't know if I put all that together, but we got four shots inbounds, and this is Henry Manahan. I've covered both him and his brother, but it's usually in Arizona. A little short for Robinson off the front of the cage there. The sole lefty on the group. Zimmerman almost feels like a lefty because he's so proficient with the forehand. Uh-oh. That was weird how that one just kind of slid out on him. It looked like he putts quickly and with good pace, but that one slides out. So an opportunity to tie things up, and he's instead going to be still one behind Nick.
Yeah, we typically don't see too many issues with these disc catchers. That might have just been one of those random ones that spits through. It was a hard putt, though.
What a gorgeous day. We're looking at May in 2023 here for the round. Light winds. Are winds usually the main factor out at this Fairfield course, or no?
Yes, it's rare to ever have a calm day. With all this open space, all the wind comes from every direction, and it's typical to have it swirling. So you might have a tailwind and then a headwind on the next hole.
All right, a par 3, hole 2. What are they doing here?
So the play here is just to launch it out and land safely by the basket, but there's the hazard little pocket of grass on the bottom right you see we passed there, and hazard just 15 feet past the basket as well. So they're really trying to make sure they at least stay safe here.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom right-hand side has a little more play, a little more give.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, optimally, if you were playing a forehand shot, you would have a nice safe landing versus the hyzer. The hazard comes in quicker.
So interesting to see the forehand out of Nick when you would think the lefty backhand would be the shot that would almost for sure keep him in bounds. Instead, he goes off to the left and he's in the hazard.
Nick has a good lefty backhand, but he really leans on his lefty forehand, which he's very proficient at. So he probably just wanted to go with what he felt was comfortable at the time.
Well, it looks like there may be a little swapping of strokes there. Zimmerman Park. Meanwhile, Nick is going to have the hazard.
Close to that long grass.
Yeah, tough for the players to see all the way back at the tee, but he was right. He's close but in. Here's Robinson. 3 out of the 4 coming from Illinois. Like I said, Zimmerman, the one guy from Wisconsin. So truly a border battle, as you mentioned.
Yep.
Great start. That's back-to-back birdies.
Overall registration, it was mostly Illinois people. I feel like a lot of the Wisconsin guys will do the Wisconsin tour events more so than other random B tiers. And they don't like leaving Wisconsin either.
We got a lot of, I'll admit, we got a lot of great golf in Wisconsin. Illinois also has a lot of great golf, and when you're kind of on that northern side of Illinois, you often see people filter into Wisconsin as well. Got to come up for that sweet cheese and brats and good golf. I think that should be our new disc golf slogan. Hole 3, what are they doing?
So again, the hazard's the main play. One of the reasons I decided to run the event with these rules is because there's nothing to stop a big arm from just launching it. So you give them these hazard rules, and now they at least have to focus on keeping it in the fairway.
646. What are you looking at just to clear this initial hazard on the right and left?
Not much. It's maybe 250 feet to get through this first little pocket.
And that's going to just barely leak into the hazard area.
This hole also plays uphill, so from the tee pad, it's probably another 25 feet uphill. It doesn't look good on film, but it's there.
Yeah, he didn't like it out of his hand.
If it wasn't for the hazard rules, I bet these drives would be a lot better.
But
It gets in your head.
Yeah, they're making everyone think a little bit. That's fair. Like you said, there's plenty of space out there to find the short grass, and
Oh, yeah.
but now you're actually thinking, oh gosh, don't miss the short grass, don't miss the short grass.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming out early as well and finding hazard again.
You need to upgrade your graphics, Terry, so it says hazard.
I know, all these newfangled rules, I tell you. Well, my graphics are only about 6 to 8 years behind. Don't worry. We'll get new ones eventually. Hey, if you know how to do graphics, fancy ones, reach out to me. I could use some. I'll pay you for them. Zimmerman with just a standstill. A little short, but that'll work. That could be trouble as well. Oh, comes up short. And we see the short baskets out there. What is it about this course? What's kind of the day-to-day configuration if somebody were to come out here and find this course?
So all baskets are in play at all times. Most holes, it's kind of weird to describe because it's not your traditional course where every hole has 2 baskets. At a certain part of the course, the layouts diverge, and you just have gold holes and you just have white holes. But to start out here on the front 9, you're sharing either a basket or a tee pad.
Okay. We see that there's some garbage bags covering up the shorter baskets in many of the scenarios here to avoid confusion as much as possible. Now, knowing that you're playing the 2 of the toughest courses, within this 25 or 30-minute range, just straddling the border, do you discourage or encourage any kind of different divisions? I mean, these are not easy layouts, right? Or how do you kind of approach that?
It was definitely something I thought about, where if maybe I should only limit it to some of the higher divisions and up. And at the end of the day, I figured just give everyone a chance to play. If it becomes a problem with backups, I'll change things for future years. So far, so good. Haven't had any crazy long rounds, and everyone's been super happy with the event.
We head over to 4.
So hole 4, this hole is downhill. It's very easy to have your shots hyzer off to the left. The stuff on the left is playing as out of bounds. So if you go out of bounds there, you just take your meter from where you went out. all the tall grass on the right will play as hazard.
Mm.
And then you play here to this elevated pin.
It's Zimmerman 2 under through 4. Meanwhile, Nick is 1 over. So David's overtaken him, and then Louis there 8 under as a total. So he's just 1 back. It just looks so inviting with the lack of wind that's out there on this particular day. I know that's not the norm, and it makes it look a lot more enjoyable.
I can't remember how windy it was, but there's definitely some wind. It's not super calm out there. There's just nothing to give you any indication if there's wind or not, which is also the hard part about playing this course on the front side is you have no idea what the wind is doing anywhere except for where you feel it on your back, which isn't helpful because the wind's a lot of times doing a lot of different things way out here in the open air.
Well, and that looks like it may have actually caught Manahan's disc and manhandled it right out of bounds.
I do remember it wasn't particularly windy, but which means it was probably at least 8 to 12 mile per hour winds. That's our typical. You see the flag there.
Sure. Yeah, David saws that one off, so he's going to be out of bounds on the left side. Hazard area here for Henry.
Come out of it. Come on.
Wow, brutal. He went out of bounds or hazard twice on the last hole, and he's done so here on 4 as well now. So far, textbook for Louis.
He was cutting it close on that one.
He sure was. And it doesn't get much closer for a CTP. Wow, right next to the pin.
Those trees, I don't know what they are. They're very skinny and tough. So if you clip one of them, typically your disc drops right down in it.
Oh, and Henry is only able to pitch out to there, so very little forward progress. You're going to only be so aggressive on this elevated basket with OB behind. So a big number coming here for Henry. Solid birdie, and what a great start. 3 under through the first 4. And with that is going to come up into a share for the lead momentarily, but David, I believe, is going to fall back. It's going to be a triple ultimately for Henry. So with David falling back, that means we've got a new outright leader. And I know this configuration is kind of unique to this event and the OBs and the hazards and such, but in your head, do you think about any kind of particular score that you would expect to be hot out here on a round like this?
It's hard to say, especially with the different skill levels of players out here. The course is also unique where these players can birdie every single one of these holes in the course.
Okay.
It's very, very hard to birdie more than 14 of them, though. So I think typically if you're in the double digits, you've had a very good round.
It's going to cut roll right into the fairway, so not a big problem there.
A few of the holes are also tween or eagle type holes.
Sure.
This is one of them. If you get a full-on drive all the way to the bottom of that hill, you could have a little chip in for a 2.
Yeah, 485 with the playing slightly uphill at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we were seeing this as a Disc Golf Pro Tour event, we would certainly argue that this would be considered a par 3 as opposed to a par 4.
Yep. And I think it would play as a hard par 3 as well.
Mm-hmm.
How it filters in there at the end. There's not much scrambling you can do if you skip. Oh my gosh.
That would be one way to get an eagle.
Yeah, right there.
Or card the 2. And to put this in perspective, as you guys are seeing, Nick, who just threw that shot, he comes into the event with a 994 rating. Louis here, a 965 rating. Watching that one get all the way through the tunnel, through the gap. Henry has a 982 rating. And then we also see, coming in at second place into the round was David with a 994 rating. Oh, and there's the throw-in that you may have been referencing. Easy to go deep, though, and find yourself a little bit of trouble, too.
Yep. If you're about 15, 20 feet past the basket, you could end up with an awkward stance.
Wow, so after a couple of struggles on the previous few holes, Henry comes back with a solid putt and a good birdie there. Oh, and that may have taken off just enough to slow it down. Zimmerman, if you can't tell, has kind of a Scotty too hottie approach to when you're watching him play golf. I mean, he steps up, puts the mini down, and throws, all usually within one motion. It's no secret. I'm here for that kind of pace. I love it.
Even when you're filming, though? And
I'm okay with it as long as I know it and kind of get used to
Yeah.
it within the first hole or two. You just got to be ready to hit that record a little bit quicker as we head to hole 6. This one certainly looks like a fun one.
So this was a new addition to the course within the last year, where this we added this gold basket. So it's kind of that Charlotte style where you gotta lace a shot down to a bottleneck to then hit your second shot and get your birdie. Alternatively, people can go over the top if they have a big arm with a tomahawk or thumber, or there's also big flex lines over the top too.
Okay, maybe I like the short pin better. Let me revise what I just said. So if you get to the short pin, would that be considered a decent throw, or how far past it are you trying to push?
Yeah, pretty much. If you park the short pin, you'd be looking at about like a 200-foot like skip shot in the basket.
So David's trying to go up and over and push it a little longer than everyone else, right?
The hard part about that short pin is you only have about 20 feet on either side of it to stay in the fairway, and as soon as you're outside of that range, you have so many trees to make it hard to execute the shot to get a birdie.
Okay, clunk. Maybe we'll see how. Could be great.
Just barely pushing past on that right side, like you said. Then you're gonna have this left on the approach. Looks like a little forehand skipper around the bend or the corner there.
Mm-hmm. If you're tucked in on that right side, though, it's going to have to be patent pending or a lefty forehand. You can see how tight the bottleneck gets right there.
I was just thinking, like, if you don't get past that initial gap, clearly there's not a lot to work with there. Nick, clearly with some ultimate background, is it?
100%, yep.
Sometimes you just, it seems painstakingly clear and obvious,
Yeah.
which is such a great skill set to bring into disc golf.
Air bounce up shots.
A long look here. Very nice skip shot. You don't see a lot of forehands coming from Henry, but that one was right on the money.
It's tough. Even with the perfect drive, there's still enough stagger trees down there that it can make it difficult to have a good look at a long putt.
Yeah, when you think 450, you don't necessarily think par 4, but I think this is the definition of why you see it, considering the bottleneck and the lanes you got to hit. You're not driving this pin, that's for sure.
There
birdie for David.
There are drives that get down there, but they're going over the top and relying on a little bit of luck.
Sure. Yeah.
It goes in the same theme of this course where you have pars that are eagleable, but you don't see them happen very often. So I like that aspect.
And we see right now David catching a little momentum. He's now at 10 under with the outright lead as we head over to 7.
So 7's tee shot, you must clear the creek. It's not very far. It's about 200 feet. The fairway will curve into the right here, go over a hump, and the basket will finish on the left. If any player goes out of bounds, they have to throw from our drop zone, which is our white short pad. You can see the white basket there on the right. And this is a par 4, and it can be very hard if you don't get in position off your drive.
Yeah, it looks like just so many scattered trees that looking for a good landing zone and then still having to execute the second.
Yeah, perfect shot is pretty much to hit that hillside and just skip up on top of it. That's what players are playing for. I have heard rumors that Johnny McRae was once in town and threw a flex shot all the way over that hillside and put it in the circle.
Okay. That is pulled right. It might be trouble.
Yeah, that one looks like it might be in the water. But sometimes you get lucky over there too.
Provisional.
All right, so he did go OB, which means he's going to the drop zone.
Yeah, so this
Which is
is
the
our
short
white pad. So the shot from here is just a straight 320-foot shot, and then have it finish another 70 feet to the left when it fades.
Oh no! Wow! That was so bad.
Louis doing the commentating for us on that one.
Exactly.
Nick's out of position here, but with a lefty forehand, it's something that he can do. But there's a lot of trees in the way, too.
Well, he had the best chance, at least. I see where you're going with that.
Mm-hmm. If he just missed that one, it was going to flex back to the basket.
Oh, that's going to be on the right side. That still looks obstructed and looks like trouble. Forehand roller.
I look like it.
That's going to finish right in the center. Not too bad. Solid recovery. Maybe even a long look for birdie still. This course playable year-round if somebody came out here. I know a lot of Midwestern courses, especially in Wisconsin, pull baskets out during certain times of the year, but is this playable all year?
It is playable all year. Not as many people will play it in the winter, but Tom McManus will be out there shoveling tee pads for everyone if they want to play.
That sounds about right. One of your earliest club members, PDJ 1276, always out there doing work as well. Lots of action on this disc. Could have probably done without the roll.
That's still makeable.
With authority.
That's crazy. It's like that place on the equator where like the water flows uphill or something.
I've seen like the building thing where they're torn down.
There's a flat earth conversation going on. I'm confused.
I'm confused as well.
Oh, the things we hear on a disc golf course. So Nick will escape with a par. He's just 1 under through 7. Louis in for the bogey, as was Henry, and David with the par. So we head to the 8th. Wow, a little reprieve, huh?
A little bit, but this is a tight gap, and if they hit one of these trees center fairway, you'll be back in the rough again. This is a hole, all of these players want to birdie. They're playing to the elevated basket of the two. You couldn't fully get that garbage bag over the white one.
I can see it must be a challenge.
Okay.
That filters through everything.
I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but somebody did black ace it.
Oh, come on, do it. Do it.
Oh,
Oh, man.
that's a solid run. Calling for it right out of his hand. Clean shot. Little comebacker, looking for the birdie. Little flex line. Nice and sloped and high.
If I ever
David's looking pretty solid. He's 4 under through 8. This is for Nick to remain 1 behind him. That's going to be about the same distance on the comebacker. This probably feels 3 times as long, knowing his closest competitor just got done birdieing it. Now here he is trying to save the par. Nice solid reset and makes the putt, but not exactly the work he was looking for on a birdie hole. So 2 birdies, 2 pars on the 8th. Zimmerman out to a 2-stroke advantage at the moment. This is sub 300 feet as well.
So this plays right over the creek there, up to the basket on the left. A lot of players will play buzz or putter shots that kind of skip up that hill. You could also go fairway, T-bird-esque type shots on the hyzer route like David's doing here.
Yeah, dude. Hard. Oh, yeah, man. Good shot.
Yeah, making it look easy. Maybe 200 feet or so to clear the stakes there, or even less than that, huh?
Yeah. No, yeah, probably around 200 feet.
That looks sawed off to the left side.
It is very wide on that.
This kind of reminds me of like the inverse of one of the holes over at Blue Ribbon Pines. I want to say it's like hole number 4 or 5, where you feel like from the shorter pin or the shorter tee, it's an anhyzer over the water. It's almost perfectly mirrored to this. And Robinson in threat of losing another stroke. David's right there. And it must be 5 over. There's a million configurations at BRP, but definitely 4 is the famous tunnel shot. So it's not 4. I think it's 5, maybe from a 5 or 6, depending on how they have it laid out.
I only had the chance to go out there once, so it's hard for me to imagine.
I'll just keep making
I think I
stuff
know
up
what you're
here.
talking about, but I'm not going to recall.
You watch enough golf, you start to just make stuff up or think you know what you're talking about.
You described it enough. I'm like, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
David's in for the birdie.
So at this point, as they finish up hole 9, they're going to have a short walk over to hole 10. And this is where there's no white baskets or white tee pads. It's kind of the gauntlet of our gold layout. Holes 10 through 14.
Yeah, this looks
Yes.
tough.
So about 300 feet, maybe a little bit more. You have OB here on the right. Players probably usually want to land right before this OB. You'd be 100 feet short. You just want to be on the right side so you have this clear look at the basket. Your second shot from there is about 250 feet, and you're looking at a birdie.
I mean, that all sounds logical.
Yeah, I
Right.
make it sound easy, but
Make it sound, yeah, very easy.
that great tree kick there to keep him from skipping right into the rough.
Kick left. Or, sorry, right. Words are on.
It sounds like he's working them. Kick left, get way deep.
I even knew it was good. I could say nice.
That looks about as clean as you could possibly throw it, right?
That's a perfect shot right there.
No, I think that's
Oh my God, it's just
Just brutal here, trying to fight out of the rough and not even getting all the way out.
Yeah, a few of these holes in the backside are the classic case of just take your medicine.
Yeah.
Is being great advice. You try to do something wild and you end up just digging a deeper hole.
Nice controlled standstill, hoping to skip right to the pin. Pumping the brakes just the right time. Good recovery. Nick in great position. Yeah, that looks pretty textbook
Mm-hmm.
for how to play here. Hole number 10 here.
Yep, just as I described it.
Yeah, exactly. Good thing he's listening to you. David also in good position.
He'll still have a putt from there.
coming out.
And that, we'll see where that disc landed, but I remember that being a great shot. From where he was at, he had absolutely no look. He found some pocket up in the air, went overhand, and I believe he's going to have a circle one putt now.
So Zimmerman gets caught up, but makes up for it with the putter. That was somewhere in shallow circle 2. So he still cards the birdie, even when he doesn't throw a great approach. He's 6 under through 10. Oh, and coming out of the rough. Beautiful shot there.
It wasn't an easy putt, though. He got the par. Ridiculous way to play that hole for Henry and get a par.
Yeah, working man's par there for sure. Robinson, again, textbook. He's sitting 2 under through 10.
No, this whole other thing was moving. Like,
And we head to 11, just shy of 700 feet.
This hole is the most challenging in the course. It's the one players are most likely to take big numbers on. You essentially want to land on this hillside off your tee shot. And then from here, there's a lot of trees you're going to have to navigate, but it's only about another 300 feet on a right-handed fade shot to reach this basket that finishes on a sloped green downhill. A lot of times, even though we're in the woods here, you can see there's not much past these trees, and it'll get windy on this hill.
Just got to ask for it.
I was just going to say, it sounds like you ask, and sometimes you shall receive. Nick can keep it cleaner, and that'll work.
Yeah, it's very important for them off their drive to just keep it on the fairway here, because on their second shot they can still progress. If they go off the fairway, their second shot's typically just to come back to the fairway.
Sure,
There's,
some form of pitch.
Yeah, there's no scramble through the woods on this one.
And from what you described, it looked like Henry really was just putting himself in ideal position.
Now kick right.
There's a lot of risk if you're trying to really push a shot to the top of that hill. I mean, all these players have the power to do so. They're just trying to get the hill crest, not anything past that.
Not entirely clean for Zimmerman. Short left side. Kind of an awkward run up, trying to maintain balance here, and yeah, worst case scenario. So not only are you tournament directing and a core member of the Discontinuum Club, you're also out here doing the drone footage, and you're working throw cam. So big shout out to you for putting this all on your shoulders.
And I was vending for the AM side.
And vending, there you go.
It was a pretty busy day.
You got a friend working catch cam as well?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out and thank you to Mike Jost for coming through at the last second to help me out on the catch cam.
Very
He
nice.
did a fine job.
Catch cam is tough, but then it's even tougher when you're on a course like this.
Yeah.
And you're
not
a
an
newer
easy course
cameraman.
for it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, big shout out to everyone involved. We've seen this before, the forehand roller approach. That's his third shot. Most of the fairway, most of the time. Can't really argue with that.
Typically, if you're on the fairway in this hole in every shot, you're having a pretty good time. Here it can be tricky to have the speed of your disc on that shot to check up in time with a downhill slope.
Very little forward progress here for Louis. Just trying to fight out and finding every one of the trees. Not an aggressive bid, and understandable, like you just said, the slope, the hard pan, all of that coming into play. Oh, and what a putt, what a birdie.
I got nervous. I was razzing Nick there. I don't know what happened with your camera gear, but something just vibrated. You could see it on the video, and it made a noise. And Nick thankfully made his putt.
From what I
still don't know what happened.
From what I sounded in the edit, I was thinking, as we see, unfortunately, the triple for Louis, is that maybe you had just accidentally kicked the monopod, or it slipped as something you set it on, and then it slid off of a rock or a root or something, and then that causes the vibrate and the noise. But
yeah, it was weird.
Great concentration no matter how you cut it there for Nick. Believe it or not, working the camera can be just as tough as playing some days out there. I know what you mean. As you're on hole 12, just a little 220. This looks like a kind of a gentle turnover. Is this play better for a righty turnover or a lefty backhand?
Probably righty turnover. Nick almost made that look textbook, though. It's definitely that awkward shape that you would hit on a high right-handed flex shot like Henry's trying to hit here. There are some tree branches up there, so it can get dropped just like that as well.
Just stand still. A couple of kicks that prevented him from tracking to the pin. He had the angle of the disc, but it didn't track to the actual pin.
It can be a frustrating hole because everybody sees the 200-foot mark, 220 feet. They want the birdie.
Yeah.
And you can get into trouble and take bogeys on it.
Yeah, start licking your chops almost, thinking, man, it's just 220. How hard can it be? Well, Louis here's finding out, unfortunately. That's his third. And after kind of a few rough holes at this point, Henry's got to be thinking, hey, I'm going to try and get aggressive and go after everything I can. He needs to make up some strokes. And
That was a
Zimmerman,
very nice run.
yeah, from one knee, has a good bid. Nick can cut the lead in half. So now just behind David by 1. And it seems like these two are kind of, they've certainly pulled away from the rest of the lead card. I know we got a couple people charging on some other cards right now, but these two out in front. And Louis was in the conversation just a few holes ago and took the triple bogey and then follows it up with a couple other rough holes, including this one.
That was the line he putted on. His putting line. That would have been sick.
Dude, I know. I'm still looking forward to seeing it.
Par there for David and the double for Louis. And we head over to hole number 13. What are they trying to do here?
So this hole plays to another bottleneck that you'll see coming up here on the drone. A great landing spot to be would be right down this little ravine. You can also push past that. Lefty shots typically have the advantage to actually be able to push far down this alleyway. After you get through this alleyway, the basket finishes slightly up a hill to the right. This is definitely a hole that's ripe for eagles for lefties.
That's the best free kick.
Another one?
It was on the hyzer. It kicked and kept going forward.
It certainly did kick and keep going. It looked good. And most importantly, finds the edge of the fairway.
Let's go, dude. Oh, that's way down there.
And Henry wasn't sure, but his hopes seem like they're going to come to fruition. Way down the fairway, as he said.
Yeah, that was an incredible drive. I think we didn't have the best angle on that one, the catch cam.
Another good shot there by Louis. Trying to bounce back. He's had a few rough holes and nasty kick, early tree. So you see he's actually short of where the rest of the card is while he's throwing his third, and everyone else is yet to throw their second.
That's a great shot.
Yeah, gets up there and just pushes it forward, but most importantly keeps it in the fairway. So that's his third. Nick throwing his second. Big opportunity here for Nick to possibly tie things up or take an advantage even.
Yep, he's there right there for it.
Two great shots.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
All right, now I'm just gonna skip.
Sawed it off.
You'll be fine.
Less than ideal for David. Not terrible, but certainly not great. That also not great. Missed opportunity for Henry. And Nick is about the same distance. And he really can put a lot of pressure on David with a putt here. David, at best, is looking at a par. He still has a little bit of a tester putt. Solid.
That's three.
Wow, I don't even know if I realized par 5, so that's going to be an eagle.
And my straddle's been so good today, too.
I wasn't trying to foreshadow a lefty eagle. It's been a while since this event. I forgot what the scores were.
No, that is so
But
impressive.
we have another local lefty, Neil Swanson, that He eagles this hole more times than I could count.
And
Ooh.
I was just saying it that would put some pressure on David, and David was actually way closer than I realized. Once he stepped up, I was like, oh, this is in. And instead he misses. And what is that going to be? I think potentially a 3-stroke swing between them. Yeah, bogey to eagle. So ultimately a 3-stroke swing in Nick's favor. We got a whole new ball game as we're 2/3 of the way through, and we head over to 14.
14 is 240 feet. It plays a little bit longer than that, but not by much. The play here is to pick your left side gap or right side gap. They're both pretty tight, and just to have a disc that finishes relatively straight after the bend.
Yeah, those are very small gaps up there. 3-stroke swing in Nick's favor. Doesn't quite beat the final few trees there.
Really like that.
Still typically a mid that you're watching a lot of players throw here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a mid, or if they could push putters too. Lower speed arms could throw 7 speeds.
Sure. David seems to be pretty clean. In fact, yeah, that's going to get all the way just past the pin. So advantage David here. Nice long range bid by Louis.
Don't go in the tree.
Come on.
Oh yeah. It's nice to see him hit a big one after the struggles he's had this round.
Robinson, or excuse me, Zimmerman, left side chains is going to pull within 1 of Nick, assuming Nick converts.
It's always more exciting to watch the big putt fall in.
Yeah, but that usually means you gotta yank something.
That's true. you can't have a hero shot if you don't first fail earlier, right? Can't make a great recovery without a poor shot ahead of it. Now Robinson comes back for the par, so although he did pick up 3 on the previous hole, he gives 1 back there to David, and just a few holes left to play. We're to the 15th.
15 is a unique fairway. This one, for a right-hand player, you need to push a hyzer that holds that hyzer angle through the curve, but then finishes straight after that. If you accomplish that, you can get down to this little ravine or right before it and have about a 200-foot upshot left. There's also OB past the basket, probably just at circle's edge, maybe a little bit closer.
Just thinking about the last few drives we've seen out here, does anyone have a strong opinion about this being what seems like a righty favorable course, or not so much, or maybe it's just a few holes in a row that I'm noticing it?
Just a few holes in a row, you're noticing it. I only say that because I play a lot with Nick. I play a lot with Neil Swans, who I mentioned earlier, and
Okay.
a lot of the holes that lefties have a huge advantage.
Okay. These last couple in a row
But
are making me think that.
Yeah, this hole definitely is a strong right-handed hole, but I think it's pretty balanced for the most part. Or at least a lot more balanced than traditional courses that don't have many lefty holes at all.
That's true.
All the lefties out there probably, it's not that balanced. Mad at me.
Well, it's funny how in the disc golf community, as soon as we get what feels like even half or less than half the lefty holes, all the righties start complaining because it does feel like we have such an
Yes.
overall bias. So the lefty world, we're just living in it or something like that. Is watching Manahan.
Righty world. Yes.
That too. Yeah.
There's a little wall saved him there.
What's some of the wildlife that you find out here on this course? Because it kind of feels like you're out in this near sanctuary of sorts.
So the hole they're playing right now, there's a I don't know what to call it, but there's a little mini like rodeo setup. So you might be hearing the roosters in the background. They'll have parties sometimes where you can hear them like taking their horses around a track. I don't know what happens there. But beyond that, you typically will see deer in the fairways throughout the summer, and you also see coyotes as well, especially in the fall.
And is there sometimes hawks and other birds that we find out there, or not so much?
Yeah,
Maybe I'm making
typically
that
all of the birds, the same kind of birds we see, in the Salem Lakes area. That one's gonna hurt for Nick.
Yeah, that's short range. And with how tight things are as we're coming down the stretch here, Zimmerman stepping up.
Can't it? Yeah, but just to finish the bird thought, we do see hawks. We see sandhill cranes as they migrate. There's been a return of eagles in the area we've been seeing more of in the last few years.
All right, we're knotted up through 15. They're both sitting at 13 under. And just 3 holes left to play as we head to the 16th.
This hole is a shell of what it used to be. There used to be a natural triple mando, and shots had to come in and hit this hill. But it's still a hard hole. A nice little par 3 where you gotta, as a right-handed player, you gotta flex it a little to the right, have it come back to finish at the basket.
Pretty much like that.
Mm-hmm.
Henry gaining just a little momentum over the last couple of holes. Still sitting at 1 over for the round. Short right side for Zimmerman.
Where's the flip?
What the flip? Off the top of your head, remember the 2022 champion of this event?
2022 champion.
That was the first year you ran it, correct?
Yes, it was. You put me on the spot, so my mind goes
All right,
blank.
I'll look it up.
I know who it was, but
Neil Swanson, perhaps?
no.
Wasn't a local? Wow, big birdie, though.
He's like, now what do I do with the window? I said, make it. Really? Nice spot, dude.
Not by much, but a huge birdie. Zimmerman in. He moves to 14. And Kyle Ofer.
Kyle Opfer, yeah.
Opfer,
I believe he eagles the last hole to avoid a playoff to win.
Wow, yeah, getting a 1-stroke advantage back in 2022, which was your inaugural year of this.
Yes.
From that window? Yeah.
That was a cool putt, though.
Yeah.
Cool things, man. That's what you do.
The elevator? Sounded like an elevator.
So Nick is in for the par. Just 2 holes left to play. What's the playoff scenario for these competitors? Is it just a typical start at hole 1, sudden death?
Yep. Just start hole 1, sudden death play until we have a winner.
Yeah, that definitely has to be on the minds of our top 2 players here, as they're just 1 apart. Hole 17 feels like one you need to get, though, right?
This is a lefty hole, easy. Just hyzer lefty, it's good to go. As a right-handed player, same thing, just a big flick.
Also feeling and hearing the wind pick up a little bit more than what we've seen the rest of the round. That pushes deep. Might be a little obstructed. sets up for the forehand.
Great shot there.
Yeah, a little far. He can't see it. Obviously, it's blind to him off the tee, but he'll have the look. All the pressure back on Nick. He saw a pretty good-looking shot, so they assume from David. And Nick will answer. Wow, so we're watching them on 17. Of course, you got to do all the YouTube things, like, share, subscribe. Please do all those things. We've got some stuff to give away. Manahan is off the top, and he goes to the other side. Meanwhile, David puts it in. So David looks like he should have a one-stroke. We still need Nick to convert, but he should have a one-stroke lead going into the final hole. And if they want to be a club member or support you guys, what do they need to do, Ryan? Where can they check you guys out?
You can find information about our club at discontinuum.org, I believe. You can support the club with a membership purchase there.
Also, find you guys on Facebook. Tons of great things going on, events all over the place in this northeastern Illinois area and throughout. I know you guys have been supporting a lot of things for many, many years. The club's been around about 20 years, if I recall. I know I was at some of the early club championships, and we've got a two-man race, two guys all the way down to the final hole, and this one looks like a doozy, as they would say.
Yeah, so you saw the white stakes the drone just passed. That's all OB. You can lay up before that, or you can go for the shot further. To the left of the sidewalk will be OB. All these guys are going to drive over that and try to play for an easy birdie here, or potentially an eagle.
And then that long grass, I know we started the round with some long grass being hazard. Is any of that long grass near the basket hazard or OB?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I didn't think all of the long grass needed to be hazard here. So the only area it comes into play is once you're within about 100 feet of the basket. There's a patch of tall grass to the right. And I did that so that if somebody wanted to try to play for an eagle and launch one up there, they had something else to think about.
Okay. We saw Zimmerman off the tee was clean. He looked like a pretty good shot. Henry is going to be out of bounds. And the left side, but safe. So Henry, after going out of bounds, looks like he goes to the drop zone. Just safe by about 1.5 meters. Going full European here on hole 18. Wow, and not the position he needs to be in if he wants to attack. I mean, being down, still a really solid forehand.
Luckily, he wasn't in there any deeper, and luckily we weren't playing that as a hazard this year.
All right, so
he's still short enough where the hazard doesn't come into play left of the basket and the island you see here on the right as well.
And Zimmerman just kind of chopping away. Seeing with Robinson out of position, those two seem to be matching strokes at the moment. David coming in with the advantage, and that one's going to slip just deep.
Nick's definitely going to most likely need a throw in here.
Yeah, Zimmerman's wide open, even closer, right?
It's routine for David to get up and down from there.
He's grabbed range. Any guess at this? 250 maybe? 200?
Yeah, and it's deceivingly a little bit uphill. It might be, closer to 200 feet.
And it's a good, safe shot, but he probably needed some magic.
Mm-hmm. He was disappointed with that run. He was for sure running that one.
Louis is left. Zimmerman's just looking for a clean up and down.
Oh, he almost throws it in. He doesn't need it.
Yeah, that would have been the walk-off eagle. As you said, he may not need it, but a tap-in birdie should do it. Nick kind of sensing his fate. Buddy Jeff comes over to congratulate him, and that looks like all she wrote. Henry's going to close it out. A little bit of a struggle, and yeah, you're right. Nick comes up short, but it didn't seem to matter, especially as David's right next to the pin, just off the wood chips now.
Well, if he threw it in, it would have mattered.
Well, correct. It had, of course, had Nick thrown it in.
It doesn't matter now.
Nonetheless, Nick's going to have a 7 under effort. He's going to shoot 15 under for the tournament. Good to see Louis finish out with a birdie. So I'm going to shut things down here. It's been pretty awesome to see. I love the Discontinuum Club. I know so many of you guys doing a ton of work. And with that, David Zimmerman, the tap-in to become your champion here at the Border Championship presented by Discontinuum.
The WIIL Border Championship.
The WIIL.
Presented by Discontinuum. Yeah, thank you, Terry. Thanks for having me, and let me put this up on the channel. Thank you to Juliana Schick for helping me out at the other course. Thank you to my volunteers, Mike Jost and Steve Hatfeld. And that'll do it. We're looking forward to the event coming this year.
All right, we'll see you guys in 2024. Thanks for watching.